How's it going, guys? I'm Folkerman, your local brick built historian, with another episode of Brick Built History. Today we have a different builder. It's not Brickmania or Brick Veteran, but it is a different person altogether named Achtung-Brick. You can see he's got his little logo there, and he specializes in German Afrikakorps vehicles, really. I have his StuG III, Ausf D. I know he has like a Feisler Storch and other like Panzer IIIs and all that, usually in German Afrikakorps colors. As you can see, this is tan, and you got all the different like Afrikakorps on there, and it's the Leger Panzer Army Africa Series StuG III, also D assault gun. Afrikakorps emblem 028 with the Balkenkreuz, skill level 3 out of 5, 546 Lego and Brickmania elements, custom model complete kit, step pictures, brick list, and sticker sheet. And just Afrikakorps there, copyright 2020, Johann Schmidt. And that's really all there is to the box. I think this is a single person operation. I believe he's from Canada, and the only way to buy these is from eBay. So if you go on eBay and you look up either Afrikakorps or Achtung-Bricks, you'll be able to find his stuff, and he's got mostly instructions and some full-on kits. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at his StuG. So if you're unfamiliar with the Sturmgeschütz, it's basically a Panzer III that they take the turret off and put this casemate on. I do enjoy his building style here, including having this little torsion bar suspension here, using these gear bricks, and there's like two of them put together, and then you squeeze the tire, like squeeze them in the tire. I did mess up the return wheel, or the sprocket, one of the two. I'll have to fix that later, and I didn't put the stickers on yet. But he did the StuG III from the John Phillips Private Armor Collection. That was fully restored in 2016. It's been in the Bovington Tank Museum a few times. I believe it was in Tank Fest in 2016. And it's in this full Afrikakorps colors. It's got all the fuel cans and water cans on the back here. You have all these extra road wheels. Just a lot of little details. And I like how you have like the suspension bar right there to keep the wheel from going all the way up, which is a nice touch. You have the return rollers here. The gun does elevate and depress, so that's a nice little feature. You have a little window there for the driver. You have a minifig. I'm guessing it might be from Minifig Co. or Citizen Brick or one of those. I'm not sure, but he just sits in there. You have the hatches on the top of the casemate, and that's really all there is to it. It's a nice, simple little kit with nice little simulated suspension right there, which I like. And yeah, he just did a pretty good job. There's some interesting building techniques, like how he got this slope here going down to this slope down here. I like this little plate between that the gun is in between, and yeah, it's really sturdy. You can't really see any bricks you don't want to see. So I think he did a really good job. I don't really know too much that I can say to improve it, other than maybe as new bricks come in that would make it better. But I think overall he did a really good job. So if you're interested in finding some of his kits, once again, if you go on eBay, look up Afrikakorps Lego or Achtung-Bricks, it'd be a really really easy thing to find, and I think he does a really good job. And it's not even that expensive either. And you know, he's a single guy running this thing, so if he's, you know, a little slow, take it easy on him. But with that said, we're going to go on to the history. So the StuG III, which the translation is kind of up in the air, but it's basically a assault gun. It's more or less like storm artillery is the best way to describe it. But it was whenever General von Manstein thought that there was no in-between with a tank and an artillery piece to go ahead and destroy bunkers and all that, and he wanted to start a storm artillery brigade that would have tracked vehicles with low velocity guns to break into the forts. So whenever he brought this up, and they started looking into making some Sturmgeschütz. The first Sturmgeschütz was made in like 1930 something, and you know, it was okay, but wasn't really that good. Well, what they did here is they basically took a Panzer III chassis, removed the turret, and put a casemate on. Now, it's not exactly like a Panzer III chassis, and some of the ways you can see is like how this return wheel is a lot farther separated than these two. In a Panzer III, it would be like right here, and it'd be slightly shorter. So, you know, it's not, and it's also a little wider too. So it's not exactly a Panzer III chassis that's been replaced, or that's, you know, you put a casemate on, but it's basically the same thing. It's basically you take it, stretch it out, widen it a little bit, and there you go. It was initially a mobile assault gun, and as you can tell with this Ausf D version, it's got this 75 centimeter or 75 millimeter StuG 37L-24 howitzer gun, which is the same that was in the Panzer IV. And what this did was basically it was a low velocity 75 millimeter used to try to puncture into forts and all that, you know, armored down positions, trying to break a hole into it. Well, eventually, as you go into the Ausf G version, just like how they did with the Panzer IVs, where they put the long 75 in it, these would eventually get long 75s and be used as tank destroyers. Now, when these initially came out and the StuG became a thing, the Panzerwaffe, or the tank army, didn't have the resources to use StuGs. They didn't have enough people. They didn't have like the ability to train them. They were more focused on their panzers. The infantry also didn't have the ability to train people how to use, instead of using a rifle, to learn how to drive a tank and shoot a gun, a big gun. So they gave it to the artillery. And whenever the artillery arm of the army got these things, they had to create their own doctrine. When they created their own doctrine, these things basically ran by themselves. So it was more or less like you had your main guys doing everything like synced up, and then you have the StuGs just going wherever they want. Kind of gave them an advantage, especially with whenever they go into the tank destroying roles, because instead of thinking like tankers, they were thinking like artillerymen. So instead of like, you know, shooting a tank and then turning around and running away, they would shoot a tank and then they'll back up and keep on shooting, which is a very interesting thing to think of. So the StuG has kind of a cult following behind it, and it is the most produced fully tracked armored vehicle that the Germans made. It would be the most produced tracked vehicle at all if it wasn't for the SDKFC 251. So this thing had there was a lot of them around, and they had really good stories behind them. Like, you just hear about how good a StuG is in the battlefield, because they had a completely different ideology with their commanders, and it's like they just worked. And you could easily hide this thing because it's really short, so you can put it up to a brush, hide it, have the barrels like barely poke out, and then suddenly fire and you run away. So there's just not a lot you can say that's bad about the StuG, other than the fact that it doesn't have a turret. But in the end, from 1940 to 1945, 10,086 StuGs would be built in varying models, between the infantry assault versions, like this one right here, and the tank destroyer versions. Really, the last known use of the StuG is the 6-Day War. So, even after World War II, these things would still be used by other countries, and, they just work. The StuG is kind of just a lovable little tank, if you want to call it that you really just can't say bad things about. It did what it had to do, and it did it well, and it was pretty easy to produce. It wasn't expensive. I think it was like 86,000 Reichsmarks, and obviously it wasn't too difficult to build. They didn't have to change too much. All they had to do was widen and lengthen a Panzer III chassis, which has been around for a year or two. So they were already making these chassis. Like, all you had to do is just change the top. You didn't have to change the engine. You didn't have to change anything else other than the top. So, and you didn't have to put a complicated turret mechanism in. All you had to do is just have this casemate on there, and boom. So, in the end, the StuG III is a very lovable vehicle. I'm glad I finally have a StuG in my collection. Hopefully someday I can get a European Ausf G version some point in the future. But for now, I really like this Afrikakorps version of the StuG, based off of the surviving restored model that's in the John Phillips armor collection. And once again, go ahead and check out Achtung-Brick. He's really whenever I was talking to him over Messenger, eBay Messenger, he's a really kind guy. The only thing is, he uses his own setup, so he doesn't have like a sophisticated way of making instructions. He literally takes a picture of it and then like adds the pieces from the pictures, which was easy enough, in all honesty. It's just something you have to get used to eventually. Yeah, very swell guy to talk to if you have any problems. He'll gladly answer them. You just have to pay over eBay, and he'll send you a nice little kit, a little Afrikakorps kit. Everything from tanks to planes to whatever you really want. So with that said, this is a really fun kit. Really glad to have it in my collection. Really good job, Johan. I really enjoy this. Keep on doing what you're doing. And, you know, this is my first video in like a month. I've been gone for a while, and then the holidays have been, you know, a big thing. So appreciate you guys for waiting a very long time for me to come back. I'll probably post a few videos, like one after the other. But with that said, I've been Fockerman. If you liked the video, go ahead and like. Subscribe if you want to see more. And comment whatever you learned or whatever you want to see. There's a lot of them I need to get to. So, you know, I just built this, and I was just excited to show it off and review it. And I know there's a lot of things out there that you guys want to see. I'll get to it. But with that said, I've been Fockerman, and let's continue to build history.